Squeegee and Ink Podcast, episode 21, with Jimbo from Workwear Mega Store. How's your day been and stuff?
Not too bad. I don't work, well, I have another job. So on Thursdays I do deliveries and I've just been up to London and back. So it's not been too bad. Tomorrow back out on the press. So
at least you got on in the sun today. It's bloody beautiful. So yeah, at least you got that. Do you want to start out by saying like who you are and what your business is called?
Okay, yeah, I'm Jimbo. My business is Workwear Mega Store. We're a screen printer and embroiderers. We do vinyl as well. We basically just do at the moment companies and stuff like that. Just anyone who wants something printed and all vinyl on their workwear. That's it.
Yeah. So like, how have you got?
I co-own it. What's that?
Sorry. Yeah, you co-own it.
With my business partner Lou, and she works remotely, so she's got another company as well. So she does all the back end, like the web and stuff and all that sort of jazz, and I'll just do the printing basically. Yeah.
Well, that's what a lot of people would like to happen, so that we can just get our hands dirty and someone else do all the technical stuff in the background, I suppose.
Yeah, and she does the quotes as well, which I hate doing. So I try to avoid them as much as possible. So like she does all that, and then she sends it off to the customers, does a proof. They then come back to her, and then from then I print and embroider. So yeah. Been a lot of embroidery, not really screen print, which is a bit sucky. But yeah, we've got one on the way, which it's going to be a long day, I think, or long days printing. So yeah.
So how did she find it working out how much things should cost if she's not like an embroiderer or screen printer herself?
Well, I'm lucky in the fact that Lou's been doing it like as long as I have. So she was managing director for Chromark Workwear.
Okay.
So and she did all their web and stuff like that, but also she did their pricing and everything. So she's had experience with it before. She knows about embroidery, she knows vinyl, and she's seen screen printing. So I mean, I'm lucky in the sense that she knows as much as I do. She doesn't know everything, but she knows enough to be able to price it up and be able to get a reasonable quote for the customer. So yeah, so I'm lucky in that respect with Lou, because we've been doing it, and that's why we really sort of started, because she was working. Chromark went bust.
All right.
Then she went freelance, and she just was working for other companies and doing websites and stuff. And I was working for a screen print company at the time, and I was in that situation where I'd sold my house. I'd always talked about starting my own business. We used to go on long walks and talk about workwear and screen print, and like if we like did it ourselves. And then she was just like, Jimbo, why don't we just do it ourselves? So yeah, so we started doing it, and I handed in my notice at the place. I then got another job just so I could do the printing, but it wasn't not contradiction, but it wasn't affecting my job. So they couldn't say, oh, you can't do that because we're screen printers and you're setting up a screen print business. So yeah, so I got a job cleaning pools and stuff, and I found out I was doing too many hours there, because I would start at 7 and get home at 7, and then I do print and stuff after that, and it just wasn't working out. And it was all the way in Shepherd's Park, which is like on the other side of Burgess Hill. So it was an hour and 20 minutes. I'd always have to go back to the unit, so I was just like, right, why don't I just sack it in and then I just concentrate on working at the unit, and then I do part-time jobs like evening stuff so I can focus on that.
Brilliant.
That's how we do it, really.
It sounds like yeah, because that transition, it sounds like an easy thing to say, oh, let's just start it up. But if you haven't done it from a position, like the way I did it was straight out of uni. So I had like no dependencies. For the first like maybe 6 months, I was living at my mum's house. So I didn't have any of those kind of like overheads where you're stressing about it. So then I could do a slow burn. But if you're already in full steam, have loads of bills and things like mortgages and stuff on you and your rent, then yeah, doing that transition must be really tricky.
Yeah, well, I was lucky in that sense, because when I sold my house, I had enough that it paid off some of my debts. And then what I did is my parents were like, they supported me. They were just like, just move back with us. You don't have to pay rent, sort out your business, because you've wanted to do it for so long. This is the only time you're ever going to get to do it, because you've got the money and you won't have to pay any bills. So do it now, otherwise you always regret it. And I was like, yeah, it made sense. It was one of those things where I was just like, right, okay, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. And I've been talking about it for like 10 years since I worked, because I started working as a graphic designer at Chroma, which is where I met Lou. The screen printer decided he wasn't going to do it anymore, and he walked out. And then they were like, oh, do you fancy screen printing, James? And I was like, yeah, okay. And then they went, there we go, learn it. And that was sort of the scary part, is like, because I learned on an auto, I didn't learn on a manual. So I learned on a 6-color, 8 platinum Sportsman M&R.
Sportsman,
and like we had orders that we had to do, so that they were working, and we're like, right, James, I came back from holiday and like, there we go, use it. And I was like, I don't know how to use this. I don't even know how to run it. And they were like, oh, okay. And I remember like one of the managing directors was on one head, I was on another head. My one of the guys I was working with, he was just manually moving the machine, and we were pressing the button to print.
Oh, can you push it around like that?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. So like the whole point of using an auto was like useless, because we didn't even know how to like run it.
Wow.
So then like we got it off Dave Roper. So Dave Roper's one of his guys came down, I think Mick, and he just showed us how to use it. It was like, and he was like, oh, have you had any experience before? And I was like, no. And he was like, he just looked at me sort of blankly, as if to say, oh, okay, you're going to have fun. So yeah, and that's how I learned screen printing on an auto with like no
pressure.
Yeah. Like jobs were coming in, we just had to run it. So it's quite scary.
Yeah, it's interesting how like I haven't specifically looked it up, but I haven't just come across any videos on like how to run an auto.
No,
it's just something like you just have to get that guy or the person in who's the engineer to come in and train you for a couple of days and then just leave you with it, right?
Yeah,
it's like
I think I found one in America, and it just happened to be like the bigger version of ours, but it was still like, I mean, the manual is like so complicated when they say stuff, because they say it as if you should know it, like so like, oh, press the index, or you know, just like, I don't even know what that is. And they have like a little picture, and it was just, so it was just a nightmare. But then once we got used to it, we were just running like constantly. It was but there was a lot of mistakes though as well, like we didn't know at the time that, you know, a high vis has got the strips.
Yeah, come on, I live for these stories, James. Come on.
And we were running it, and we didn't realize you had to turn the flash off. So we started running it, and obviously you've got, you know, your 6 things, and then comes round and it gets to you, and they're all burnt because the high vis strips, they they don't shrink, but then the garment does, and it just looked like a crumbled mesh, and we were just like, oh god.
It goes hard, doesn't it? It like melts and then crusts instantly. Yeah.
And we were just like, oh god. And that's the other thing with auto. Once you've made a mistake on the first screen, it's not until 10 that it comes round to you, and you're like, oh my god, there's ink on all the garments. Yeah. It's like a big like stain, and you're just like, oh. And like, it's fine if they're cheap like t-shirts, but the jackets and something like that, you just, oh god.
Yeah, that is grim. I think everyone's had the lessons, but learning on a manual, then like translating what you've learned on a bigger scale seems to be the easier choice. Because it's like, you don't know, you're just you're putting the settings on, but if you haven't felt it with a squeegee, I don't know how you're sure what you're doing or why you're doing it, like drilling it into the fabric or just doing it lightly and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, like, also, like, you've got the flood bar as well, which has got pressure, and if you put the flood bar on too much, basically, as you're doing like a big long run, it will slowly destroy the screen. And then if you're doing it on like sleeve patterns, the squeegee is still that big, the flood bar is that big, and what it does is it puts so much pressure on the corner of the edges, it will then remove that emulsion from it, so then you'll get sleeves with like a long white line on them, or like and then you've like, you know, again, you've done like 10 or something, or
and you can't see it because the ink's covering the emulsion being worn away, right?
Yeah, so it's only when you pull them off, and you pull them off and you go look and you go, why is there there's a long line there, and you think, oh, it might just be the pressure of the flood bar, and it's just, it will come off, and then you touch it, it's wet ink, and you're like, oh.
At least you got to learn a little bit on someone else's money and time, right?
Yeah. Well, I did, because I went there, I got made redundant because they got a Cornegg DTG machine,
right,
which I absolutely hate. Like, if anyone ever mentions like a DTG to me, I'm just like, no, I don't like it.
It literally stole my job.
Yeah, just like, I think I was at Print Promotions, and this woman was like, oh yeah, we do everything on DTG, and I just sort of walked off. And she was like, oh no, and I had to explain the story why I got made redundant and everything, and she was just like, oh, sounds like you had a really hard time, but they're really good.
Yeah, you should get one too.
Yeah.
Oh, even running one of those must be bloody boring. I'm still yet to find someone who runs it and is proud of like going, I'm a DTG printer. I haven't found one yet.
The guy I used to work with, because we were a team, like at Chroma, it was me and this other guy, Daniel. He stayed on and he ran the DTG, and he, like, because when they were sold it, they were told that they could do 300 prints an hour or something like that. Like, and I think they managed to do 90 prints an hour. So like, from what we were doing on the auto to doing on the DTG, they were just like, oh right. But he liked it. He liked it, but it's not. He said you still need to know stuff. So you need to know how much you're applying, like the coat and the white ink and everything. And you have to do different settings for like hoodies and polyester. We did a lot of high vis, and they had to work out how to do it on high vises, and they managed to do it. But yeah, it's still like it still wasn't fantastic, but it like, for what it was, it was what it is.
Yeah, let's leave DTG over there.
Yeah.
So like, why have you focused on workwear specifically,
just because,
as your like area?
Just because I've done it before. Obviously I wanted to start out, like, I wanted to print my own stuff and do my own brand, and like, because I came from a graphic design thing, and I thought, well, like, if someone can wear like a t-shirt, there's more of a chance of them buying my artwork. So I was just like, oh, and that's really why I wanted to start doing screen printing when I learned it at Chromark, because I was like, oh, I can sell t-shirts and stuff like that. And then I was just like, I just saw loads of, I saw like, I went on websites and like read like loads of things, and it was like, they all said, oh, I started off doing brand merch, but it didn't work out. So then I went to workwear, and I was like, well, people always need workwear. They're like, and I could see how much they were costing, because on our site, we had like a operation system, and it would tell you how much the quotes were, how much that, and I could see how much profit they were making. And I was like, if I could do that, then I wouldn't have to work here.
Yeah. If I could
so
do
I was
this,
just like, that would make me happy.
That's really funny. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Because at least you know where you are with the tradesmen now. Because when when they come to the, I don't know if you get walk-ins, but when they come to the door, they're very like, this is a generalization, but it's literally my experience for the last 10 years of how they are, and my brothers and stuff in the trade. But they're just like, I want this, this, and this. How much is it? You literally say any number to them, because they don't give a shit. And then they're like, yeah, I have that in 5. What are you, XXL? Try the shirt on. And then like, that is the end of the conversation. They might even give you a business card with the logo on, which is the only like shitty bit. They hardly ever have their own nice artwork. They never ever have their own nice artwork file. But that transaction is so like easy to understand, and like, it's just a quick, simple conversation done. This is the expectation. It's easy to deliver. Maybe that's.
I mean, in that respect, it is always simple. I always hate redrawing their logos, because some of them are really atrocious. And you're just like, oh god, this is really bad. And that's partly why I stopped doing graphic design, because I was just like, when I was working there, they would be like, oh, you do like a really cool design, and like, oh, can you design me a logo? So you do all these cool little ideas, send them loads and loads of stuff. They get back to you and say, no, I need that changed. Or I was talking to my wife and she wants this on it. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then you do all the changes. And then he's like, actually, I just want my name and my telephone number underneath. And you're just like, ugh.
Yeah,
I've
with
done
a
all
roof.
that work.
No, they don't. They want that little roof symbol. Chimney. Yeah, can I have that?
Yeah.
And then like, I'll be like every other builder in the entire town. But I know. They should just put their name with a roof on. As the staple and charge 100 quid. But
or like a tool that they use. So if they're a plasterer, like a trowel on the side of it. And then that way. Or like if they're a painter, they want it like a paintbrush, and then
within the paint stroke.
Exactly.
My brother's is actually pretty good. It's like a Roman, it's just the word Roman, but the M in the Roman is like a centurion hat on the front. It's actually quite like subtle, but it's a bit graphic designery. I think you'd be proud of it. Did you go to uni for graphic design, or is it just something you really love?
So I did a H&D in illustration and graphics. I actually finalized in illustration. But for some reason they ran out of certificates that said illustration, so they had graphic design. So I was just like, I went away and I was like, I don't know if they'd hire me if I was an illustrator, but they'd hire me if I was a graphic designer. So I just put on my CV graphic designer, and I had a H&D, and then no one ever asked me about it. No one ever said, oh, so what did you do? I was just like, oh, I did a graphic design. Like, oh, okay, But in actual fact, I did illustration. So so I kind of blagged it a bit. But
I really like this. What is it on your neck?
That.
See, cool. I could see up to like there, but then when you have to get you to pull that down to see the whole thing. It's really cool.
That's recent. That's done by a guy called Ollie Mundham, and I followed his artwork for ages. He was an illustrator first. He worked for a company called I Love Dust, and they're like they do stuff for Nike and everything. And then he started tattooing in Worthing, and I was like, oh mate, if you ever like start tattooing. Like, give me, I'll get some tattoos off you. And he was like, he like, I saw him on Instagram and he started putting stuff up, and I was just like, right, I'm gonna get some tattoos off him. So I've got
that's prime real estate for him though, isn't it? Like, how do you have to sit for that? Do you just have to sit on the bed with your head in the
in the back? And he did it from upside down, so he faced me that way. And it was I think it's the first neck tattoo he'd done. But he tried in different positions and he couldn't do it, so he did everything upside down.
Wow.
Imagine
doing the whiskers like down though, because that's like what you're. I don't know how he did that, but imagine if you just did one element, like his eyes upside down, and
and it would, I would have been nervous, but I know he was super, like, it took him like 30-40 minutes to put on the stencil. He was like, it's not straight, you need to straighten it, and then he put it on again. So
oh, brilliant. Yeah, that's really cool, especially when you find your artist. But mine's buggered off to Scotland now.
Oh, really?
Like, fuck. Yeah, because no one could. Thank God I got in there before she like finished the piece. But there's so much more that I had in my head that I wanted to like extend.
Yeah,
you can't find anyone. Anyway, we're digressing because I just really like traditional style, and I'm getting into the coloured work as well. So it's I've got like Josh Marks and some people to do mine, but it's never ending, is it?
No, I mean, I want more around here. He's like, he was giving me some suggestions because I kind of want it to go around and stuff. Because I mean, I've got a fair amount of tattoos anyway. I need to get another sleeve, and I want him to do that as well. But he's really good. I really like him.
You better get some more jobs in then. Pay for
exactly.
That's how I see money now, by the way. I see money as screen print stuff that I could buy with that money, or I could see like, oh, that could be a whole session in the tattoo. That could be a whole day session. I'll take that one on.
That's exactly how I see it. It's like, oh, I can get that. I can get the full color, like rolling printer, or I could get this, or I could get another tattoo.
I think I deserve it this week. So like, how are you finding starting it like from the ground up, like with all your marketing, and like how are you getting these initial customers?
That is the hard bit. I mean, sometimes like I get like a load of customers within a month, and then I get nothing. Like, you get like dribs and drabs. And that's the hard part, is having the database of the people behind you already to come and do it. Like, I mean, we put marketing up on the Instagram. We mainly do it on Instagram, and just word of mouth. Like, I've got a lot of friends, and I had a lot of them are builders, and so a lot of them have already said, "Oh, I'm going to get some t-shirts." And I did some for one of the guys the other day, and then it's just those people, and then they pass it on to someone else. But it's, I mean, we're a fledgling business, so we're still building. But as we go along, we'll learn it, I guess.
I really liked. I looked at your Instagram today, and I was liking the way that you do your descriptions. That doesn't sound corporate, so it's like, this is why we do this. So you're showing like why you do. I think you're embroidering fleece, and you put that kind of film over the top. But like letting people know that you go to that like level of attention to detail, even if other embroiderers do that by default. The fact that you're taking the time to like educate the person as to like why you're doing what you're doing. That is really, really, really good. I enjoy reading those kind of descriptions and stuff. That was Lou. She was like, I was running a job and I sent her a picture. And she was like, oh, send me a picture when it's on the machine. And so I sent her a picture, and then so whenever I'm running something, she said, are you running this job? I'm like, yeah. She's like, can you send me a picture of that? Sometimes I take the photos, and she's like, can you give me the box? And I'll take the photos. And then some of them, she's just like, oh, I like that photo, I'll use that. So, I mean, it's good.
in that sense, because I can then focus on just finishing the job. All I have to do is a quick shot and then carry on.
Yeah,
really.
that sounds really ideal.
Yeah.
So do you mind me asking if she's like your partner or just your business partner? Or
She's not my partner.
Just your business partner?
No, she's just my business partner. No,
Yeah.
no, she's definitely not my partner.
Yeah, because
Not that she's not lovely.
When it is your partner, they can tell you off about shit, like in a more like direct way. Like I get told off about photos and stuff all the time. She's like, go and redo that again, and I have to like go and sort it out. But.
Well, because I've known Lou for like, I guess 10 years now.
Yeah.
She is very much like that anyway. Yeah. Like we're quite close, and she's like, if I do something wrong, she's like, no. No.
Okay, you got that part of it down, where you're not taking any shit.
Yeah.
Well, you probably take her shit, but she's probably just not producing any.
Yeah.
That's really funny. So yeah, what else are you gonna look at doing? I've seen that you also using like videos in there. Are they like stock ones that you're getting from the wholesalers and like adapting? Put your logo in it and
that's our stuff. I mean, I want to do some more. I need to do some more videos basically anyway, as we run the jobs, because I mean, I'm sure you do as well. I look at so many screen printers and what they're doing, how they're doing it, and then I go, I like that. Oh, I need to do that. So we've got loads of ideas of how we're going to do it and how we're going to develop it. But you know, we're still getting into I'm still really sort of moving stuff around in the unit, because I was in a container. Before that, I'd stolen some space off my brother-in-law because he's an upholsterer. And I had a little corner with the embroidery machine going.
Oh, cool.
I had the screen print in the container, and now I've got it all in one unit.
Yeah,
it's not a big unit.
Sick, but it looks really nice. And your branding on the side recently is really. Yeah.
Well, I did that because we kept on getting posts that wasn't being delivered, and we share like the unit with a guy called Matt, and he's a personal trainer, and he used to have this unit. But he has the other half, which is sort of blocked off, and they just kept on delivering posts there. And so I was like, right, I'll get some signage, we'll put it up. And that was like when I bought the vinyl machine, we got some free vinyl with it. So I just like, let's see. And I just did sections and sections and put it up. So yeah. And that's how we do it.
It's pretty big though, isn't it? Am I anticipating it's like, I'm going to say like 15 meters wide?
Yeah, it's fairly big. All we did is I just did it in sections, and because of how it was, I worked at a before I also worked at TJ Signs in Brighton, and basically so they did vinyl cars and stuff like that. And when I was a graphic designer, and so I saw how they did it and how you could do it in sections. And I was trained by this guy Pablo, and he like, oh, you just put it in sections, James. You just like do this, and then I was like, so it kind of, and I'd seen him do it. So I had a.
Did you do like spray bottles, and did you spray it, or did you?
Yeah. So you put a degreaser down. You obviously wash the side down. You then degrease it, and then you put like a alcohol-based stuff on it, which is called ISO. Clear it all down, and then you obviously put application tape over the logo of where you're going to put it, and then just masking tape it up, measure the top, measure the bottom, and then just start applying.
Yeah, hinging it like this.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
There were bits where I'd like put it on and I had to peel off another bit and put another bit on. I was just like, oh God. So my first one wasn't great, and then I had to redo it, and I did it in different sections, and then I moved on to the front. But I had forgotten to cut the in the slats. So I'd opened up the door one day.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
just dragged it.
Bing. Yeah. And it was like, and then I pulled it down, and some of the letters had gone like that. So I've got to adjust them. But yeah.
What does your sign say now? Like work.
It's still work. You can still make it out saying Workwear Mega Store, but it's just like the letters are like look a bit pissed.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Yeah.
We used to do some of that vinyl. I'm not really sure why, but we just did, because you just kind of get roped into some jobs. And then like Emma's always on application, and I was just there kind of like being scalpel and pen bitch, like handing it up. And it was so stressful because the customer was always just there. It was always enormous on like horrible glass. You get one go at it. It's quite a lot doing the vinyl, especially on mass. But yeah, I'm quite glad we're away from it. But also, it's a really good skill to have, isn't it? Now you can do your van and.
I don't think I'd want to do it like. I mean, one of my cousins was like, "Oh, could you do my van?" And I was like, I mean, it's not something I'd want to do all the time, but it's probably something
not
that will have.
Yeah. But at least you got the skill now, because now you could do you could do like little signage, and it does prop up as like even A boards, and it's cropped up loads of times that it's a good skill to have. I'd never go and bother paying anyone else to do.
No. Not if I mean, I've got the cutting, so all you need to do is pay for the vinyl, and then it's not that hard. It's a skill to do, to learn. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. So like business skill wise, because like I know you've got the trade like going on and you're like working with that already, but like are there any like sides to the business that you're finding difficult? Like, are you leaving it all to Lou, or are you like, there must be some kind of like financial planning that you have to get involved in? And
yeah, I mean, yeah, we do sort of have a plan. We've both got have a joint account, so I see where the expenditure is going and everything. And as far as that's so we do have a plan, but it's not a plan. Do you know what I mean? Like, we talk about it. If we need to buy something, we talk. Do we need it? What it's going to do? Can we run without it? So in that sense, yeah, we do. In regards to like a plan written down, no, it's just we're just kind of, I guess, winging it at the moment.
You're still in mega startup mode though, aren't you? Because you're less than a year old, so yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. We're still new to it, still learning. Although we've come from the industry, working for someone else, it's different when you're then looking at it and thinking, oh, I need to find this customer to pay the rent. I need this customer to pay for the vinyl we've just paid for. Do you know what I mean? So that's the bit that's the real learning curve, I think. Like just finding the customers and getting the money in.
Is it that you're because you're kind of like having these waves of customers, right? And so do you feel like you need help yet with the kind of like day-to-day running of it, like the operating of the press and stuff yet?
Not so much that. I would like it to be more consistent, so the customers I think we're probably going to have to chat on how we're going to keep it consistently, that we're getting the customers in, all the time. I mean, we're getting repeat customers, but they're still.
But they'll be like intermittent, won't they?
Yeah,
they
exactly.
won't need it for a few months.
Yeah. And they're like, paying the rent and stuff and electric, and you got, oh God, I've got to get, I've got to find a way. So so that's why I've got the second jobs and stuff, just so I can pay for things if I need to, and then I'll get paid back from the company later. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It looks like you're a real like champion amongst the, like, you like really champion all the other printers though. Like you already know, like Pav's gonna love me saying his name again. Pav, and you got like in with Darcy at Downcast, and you've bought our Blind Maggot stuff. Thank you again for that. Yeah. So like you're kind of in with the kind of lifestyle of it as well, because we're all kind of mulling through it together, aren't we? But
well, I as I say, I follow so many screen printers, and I've asked so many questions that I just, I chat to them. I mean, like Darcy, because I've taken on a short contract, like at my old firm, just to do their screen printing. So I do their screen printing in the morning, and then come back and finish off here.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So Darcy lives, well, his place is near where I work at the moment, like in the morning. So it's weird how close people are. And I saw Darcy in Paravat, Print World and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've just asked like people, like there's a guy, I think his name's Darren from Flipping Sweet. And I've asked him so many questions. And when I was working for print companies, I was like, oh, mate, how did you do it? How did you become a screen printer on your own? How did you do it? And he was like, I just did it, mate. I just
white knuckled it.
Yeah, I want to do it. And he was like, he was championing me to do it. And then I talked to, I bought a press off Darren from Orange
Squeeze Orange.
Yeah. And I was like, when I went up there, I was just like, how did you do it? And he was just like, oh, and he was so honest about it. And then I texted him back and I was just like, oh mate, I want to do it. And he goes, just do it. You won't regret it. And I was just like, it just kept on happening. I kept on asking people and they were like, just do it. You'll be fine. Just work it out. And so now I'm just trying to work it out. So yeah.
It would be much easier if you could just like go to a school, like have it as like a subject at school. Like, do you know in colleges they teach you how to be a builder, like do your plumbing diploma. Could be like a screen print diploma. I think that's what people are begging for, because I know we do like one-day courses, but when you're like just starting out, people kind of don't know how much they have to invest in their own education, so they just kind of like white knuckle it all the way through. And most of them probably don't even they're definitely not getting to where you are with like premises, the sign, the website, all the social media and the customers. They're probably just like giving up a bit too soon. It's quite hard to watch actually sometimes.
It's I mean, there's the day course. That's the other thing. I was like, when I first was learning screen printing for a company, there wasn't a place where you could like do a week's training session. Do you know what I mean? Like just go there for a week and learn it, like, because it's all right having like a day session. You'll get an idea and you'll know how to do it, which is how we started. We went and worked for a place in Portsmouth called Sea Dogs, and they showed us how to do stuff like expose the screens, time, everything like that. But then you have times when you're running the press and you're like, why is that not going down? Why have I got fibrillation on it? What am I doing wrong? And when I was doing it on the auto, I think it hindered me because I couldn't feel the way it was, like the squeegee. And it was only when I started working in Burgess Hill at this other company, Stitch, that they had a manual press. And I was like, I want to learn that because I know that, but I don't know that. And they were like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And I started learning it, and I learned so much from the manual, which I wish I'd had done in the first place. If I'd done the manual first, and I wouldn't have had so many problems with the auto. So I mean, that was that was a halo moment, you know, when you're like, this is how you do it.
That's good to hear you say that though, because you've kind of you switched all over the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good that. So is it in your like sights to try and get an auto? Because I know have you got like a manual Anatole at the moment?
No, I've got a manual Riley Hopkins. I haven't got an Anatole. I want an Anatole. That's something I think they look really good. I saw one at Print World, and I was just like, that's a sturdy beast. I think the thing is with autos, like they're very good, but as soon as you upgrade it, you have to. I think Darcy would say you have to upgrade everything, and that's true. You get an auto, you've got to get a bigger dryer. If you get an auto, you've got to have platens for all of the heads. That's expensive. If you get an auto, you've got to have like someone cleaning all the screens, because then you've got to invest in, because that machine's got to be running all the time. So I mean, you could have it and not run it all the time, but then you're not going to be making the money. And then to make the money, you're going to have to pay the other staff. So, I mean, there's a lot of steps. You have to get a compressor if you have an auto.
All the screens.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I go for the big screens anyway, because I was like, it was in my head, like, well, if I've got those screens and then I have to buy some more, I'm not. So I just run on bigger screens. So yeah, I mean, it would be something, it would be nice to have, but I think you'd always have to have a manual, because coming from that, I've been in situations where I've been running the auto and it's gone down, like so a spring's broken, or there is like they have magnets. Well, the M&R have magnets and they lose their magnetism, so then they won't register ahead, so you won't be able to run that machine. And if you get someone out, it's going to cost you about £1,000, because they're going to have to come down like from, you know, Birmingham down to South, and then they might have to stay over, so you've got to pay for that. So it's good to have a manual that you can then, like, if everything fucks up, you've got something to back up and then still run the jobs. I mean, you're not going to want to do like 1,000 on a manual, but you could do the 250s to 500 garments. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and maybe charge a slight premium, because if you're trying to run against the auto people's prices, you're not giving the same service as the auto people. We're giving a more, it is always going to be a bit more intimate, the service, and a little bit more personable, because the person you're talking to is often, I know you've got Lou in between you two, but you're still a very small team, and she'll like communicate about the customer. Yeah, it's tricky. I think there is a really nice sweet spot just under auto where a small team can make a lot of money. Like, we don't run our press like constantly, but we're like at a point where we don't need to take on more customers. We're feeding the business nicely and we're ticking over. Yeah, and we could just push them back or take them on. But yeah, I don't think. Also, it's like people like Matt Marcotte in America. He's gone around hundreds of people's studios telling them like how to run their shops and advising them, and then he's just got like a cruiser. He's just got a manual. So it's like, why is he doing that? And then I'm seeing other people who have run autos or used to have autos downgrading and just coming into like a slightly smaller environment, a smaller team, because
I like the manual as well. I think, like, coming from an auto, I like it, but it was different, because when I was working at Cromark, I could choose the job, I could set it up. We had multiple colors and stuff like that. It was just me and Daniel running that whole screen print. Then I went to the company in Burgess Hill, Stitch, and like, you're chained to that machine, like you're running it from 8 till 4 or 5, and you know that machine's got to, because they had a very precise way of doing it. They'd done the metrics, so they knew how much money they had to run, how many garments you have to print. And I found that it was kind of like, whereas before at Cromark, I was doing like loads of different pieces. So I was like exposing screens, cleaning the screens, setting up the artwork, doing all the other stuff that screen printers do. But then working for the slightly bigger firm, it wasn't like that. You're just that machine you just basically run. And I'm just, that's sort of why it was like, kind of want to do it myself, and I don't want to be chained to that machine. I want to be able to do little bits and pieces over here and that, because you learn more, and it's an exciting day. Like, so I'll go do the vinyl now, reading stuff, and I'll put the embroidery machine on while I'm doing that. And it's, you know, little bits and things are happening. But with the auto, it's just like, I was just like, take off, next screen, clean screen. Yeah. So
I can see that. Yeah, I can see why it's like takes all the fun out of it. I think I talk about that a lot, but I know we're in this to make money to do businesses. Otherwise, this would be like a hobby podcast.
Yeah.
So it's like, I do understand that you're trying to make the maximum amount of money out of your resources and your equipment and your skills.
Yeah.
But I just also, if I was just trying to make money, I wouldn't be doing this exact job. I would be doing something really soul destroying in an office and just putting my hand out and just getting pay rises every few weeks for some.
Yeah.
I'll just be a graphic designer down the road. And I'd probably be like a senior graphic designer now, because I've been there for 10 years doing estate agent boards, like they got me doing.
Yeah. I hate that when I was a graphic designer, that's what I hated doing, because I'm dyslexic. And like when they would get me to read through things, I just can't see it. I can't see the spelling error. And in fact, to the point where when I was at firm, I spelt security wrong. It's security. And it was on a quick turnaround. They were all on high vis jackets. It was the boss's friend, and he was out there. And like the next day, when I came into work, he was like, "James, can you come into my office?" And I was just like, "Oh no!"
I like the impression. Is he really little?
He's sort of. He's about that tall.
Little WD Rex.
Yeah. So he was like, "James, security, it's all right." It's just like, no.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, the event went. They found it funny, and I didn't lose my job, so it was one of those moments where I was just like, and I just started at the firm as well, so I was just like, oh god. And then I would just, every time I would like send something off, I'd send it to Tom and be like, is that right, and he'd be like, yes, it's fine, you can send it. And then I'd send it downstairs. So yeah,
I swear 90% of screen printers are dyslexics, because we probably got like funneled into the normal jobs, and then they found out, oh yeah, they can't. It's not that you can't like read or write, you can get by, but it's like, it's all just a muddle, and then it's like you're not ideal for that kind of job, so you should be just using your hands, and you're much better at that type of creative. Actually physically making things is, I feel like, our sweet spot as dyslexic people. I feel like that's just the side of the brain that we use better.
I mean, I deliberately would not tell when I was going for jobs that I was dyslexic. I'd just like, it would be omitted from my CV or anything.
Well, wait, it's not like something you have to put in, is it?
No, well, they always they would say like, can you proofread blah blah blah, and I'll be like, yeah. And then I got to the point where I was just like, I'm just going to say it. It would solve a lot of my issues beforehand. Like, I'm dyslexic. I won't be able to read or proofread your things. If you've got, I can use spell check and stuff, but at the end of the day, I will need someone to check it.
Yeah. But you're there for the composition and the styling and the typography anyway, aren't you? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that was for copy.
I mean, I like the arty part of it. I just didn't like. I just like some of the things you do as a graphic designer. It's just like, I found a bit soul destroying. My first job was working as for a company called it's called BVR. But it was actually called Beaver Print, and they would do and they would do like prospectuses for schools and everything like that. And it was a really small team, and you'd have a booklet that you'd have to adjust and make sure you'd go through, and that was the bit where I just hated having to put paragraphs and stuff and dividing it so it's still readable, and it was so foreign to me that I hated it and didn't like it and wasn't very good at it. So,
exactly. So why bother?
Yeah.
Because you're going to do it for 20 or 30 years, just hating yourself and waiting for 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's grim. I'd rather work 12 hours a day at something I enjoy than
Yeah,
8 at some bullshit for someone else.
absolutely.
Yeah, no. So is there any like quick little things that you've taken from other studios that you're like you've brought into your place, or things that you've gone, oh, I'm not going to do that in my place?
Yeah, I don't spray glue. I don't use tack glue at all. I use like top bonds, like it's from Screen Print Essentials. It's like it comes concentrated and then you water it down with water. I don't use like a I don't use a squeegee to apply it. I use like a roller, and just roll it on, and it works for everything.
Paint
roller, foam paint roller, and a small rolling bucket, and then just by the side, and then just roll it on, and it will work on fleeces. It will work fleeces. I say hoodies, jackets, everything. It will hold it down, and you don't get loads of glue everywhere. So you like when you touch something. I mean, if you're doing lots of hoodies, and you're spraying it every time, it just gets everywhere, and your floor starts. Yeah, and it's not very good. So yeah, I will never like spray glue again. The other thing is like weeding vinyl. So like if I'm doing names for like hoodies and stuff like that, we use I use a cardboard roll.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you don't weed anymore, so you just use like DTF or something, but you're going to show me something.
No, we use like a roller, like because when I was working for this other company, that we used to have to like do lots and lots of names, and they sent us over this machine, and they were like, "Oh, this is £5,000," and it was like has a heater on the bottom, and you roll it, and it like weeds the things, but it never worked properly. And then so one of the guys was like, oh, let's just put tape on it, put it on a table, and then we just roll it, and it just weeds all the names. Like it literally cuts your time down by hours. I'd say hours if you're doing a lot.
You need to explain that again. So you put the unweeded vinyl on.
Yeah. So
the table, and then.
So on the vinyl, you leave on the names. You leave a gap of like 1 centimeter for each name. Like you roll against the E, so the E is like facing that way. You put double-sided tape on the table so that make sure the table fits how much you're weeding, and then you leave another space for where you put tape down there, and then you put that on and you pull it up so it rolls up to the halfway up, and then you just roll
just the vinyl there, and then you just
and it just pulls it up, and that's something I would definitely suggest to anyone if they're doing lots of names.
I think they might get it if they've done it before, then they'll still understand what you just said.
I might do a video of it, because
do a video.
Because it's one of those things that where you've been sitting down, and like the company I was working at, we did like all we did was hoodies. Like all we did was hoodies and levers hoodies, and like it would take us hours to weed the name. And then when we did this, it was just like, wow, that time is like, you're doing sheets and you're just like, you still have to do like in between the A's and stuff like that, but it just cut the time down by like so much. Brilliant. So it sucks
so much weeding, and then your whole like that part of your hand is like raw. That's probably one of the reasons I stopped doing these.
And I hate touching the vinyl, and I hate the stickiness of the vinyl, just like touching your hands. I hate it. So I put like double-sided tape on my hand and just stop tapping it, because I just didn't like it in between my fingers, and I'd have to pull it off. It just felt weird. So like just patting down like vinyl, like getting all the letters.
And the boss was like, I'm just going to leave you to this. Jesus Christ.
So they're the things I would say that work the most. In regards to anything else, I don't think there's any. Everyone has a certain thing when it comes to doing the actual press and what they do. So but those things I definitely would pass on to other people.
So like I know, I think you said it before, but I just haven't, it hasn't gone into my head. Like, how are you doing like artworking?
So I've got, Lou's got a subscription to Illustrator, and we just do it on Illustrator.
Yeah.
As we go on, I'm going to get studio separations and accurate, because that
I've got that set up.
Yeah, that's when I was working at Chroma, that's what we did. As soon as we started doing complicated high half tones, we got it in, and you could, it was a bit, I mean, when I started, this is like 7 years ago when we got it, maybe 6 years ago, it was quite clunky, like, but I think it's developed more. But then what we would do is we go into Photoshop, and then I found this video on YouTube, and the guy was like, oh, just adjust this and that, like, that helped my artwork so much. It was like I was able to get better and higher, like, brightness of colors and stuff like that. Were just like, because when I first did it, they just looked like a dull mess.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why is it looking awful? It looks fantastic on the screen. And it was just, you just had to well, this is what I found. I just had to make it brighter and more dense on the screen than it looked. And then when I printed it, it was just, on
this one, there's like a button, and it's like not the color crunch. That's the one where it like makes it into less. It's basically what you're saying. It increases all the contrast.
Okay.
And you could just like decrease it and it looks a bit duller. But I always overshoot all my separations, even if it's in Photoshop. I always amp it up a little bit. I feel like it can lose some momentum by the time you get on press. But I think Separation Studio Next is the tits. And I'm going to do a lot of work on showing it to people, especially with vector artwork. Because you literally just put it in and it's done, and it's on a template, and you're like, fucking hell, that saved about at least an hour with a 6-color design. And then it's always that pressure's on you when you're doing that type of work, for doing the separations and just doing human error. It takes that out, I suppose. I mean, we'd have to, I think, because we've got a Canon at the moment, so I'm not sure if Separation Studios is compatible with it. So we probably have to get maybe a bigger printer for films and stuff. But it's one of those things that will, when we get there, we'll do it. Do you know what I mean? But Illustrator at the moment I use for my separations, which is I'm used to it, so I know how to do it. I mean, and we create most of the artworks or the logos in Illustrator, so it's already there. So it's, you know, and we generally don't use photos or like, you know, even if we're sending it to the digitizer, we redraw it. So we have it in, so if I send them bullshit. I send the digitizer like raw crap. And because they vectorize it and then digitize it. In my experience.
I mean, I guess we do it because if they come back to us and they say, oh, can we have it on a vinyl press or something here, we've got that artwork and we can, you know, smash it up or shrink it down, and there's no pixelization and stuff. But I mean, our digitizer is pretty good. I mean, when we were doing it at Chroma, we had Wilcom as well. So like sometimes the digitizer would send us stuff and we'd have to adjust it in Wilcom because it wasn't running on the press, or they said it was coming out and stuff. And since we've been doing it, I've never had that issue. I've never had, I mean, we probably will have to, but I've never had to use Wilcom. I just send it to the digitizer and say, look, it's not working, sort it out, or I don't want it like that. There we go. So apart from that,
if you don't have to, have you found it? Sorry, have you found like using the embroidery machine is really easy? Like sometimes, I want to say it's like once you get the settings right and you just leave them there, then it will just
run. I mean, if 15 minutes or something, it will run. I mean, hats are like where I'm having my issues at. like, because I was like, I want to do caps. So I bought like a cap hoop and stuff. And when I bought it, I set it up, and this was at my brother-in-law's unit, and I dropped it on the floor, and I was like, oh no. And I looked at it and was like, oh, it's fine. And then I went to go do caps, and I bent the bottom hoop in. So then I bent it out, and then it
never quite worked the same.
No, it started like the circle would be like round up there, and then it would just go flat at the bottom. I was like, and I don't know if it's how I'm hooping it. It probably is how I'm hooping it, because I know there's like a little technique on how to do it. But since I then was like, I looked at the hat hoop, and it was still bent. So I went to move it, and now it's cracked. So basically I've got a broken hat hoop. So, yeah. But apart from that, I mean, most of the time, pluck it on the machine and it will run. And I use like Mighty Hoops.
Yes, Mighty Hoops.
Yeah, I mean, if I could buy some more of them, I'd be like away, because like pushing them on the other hoops, it's just like getting it tight enough, and I'm just like, oh, get on.
I know. Also, just injuring yourself.
Yeah.
There is not a way to put a traditional hoop on without giving yourself literal straining your wrists.
Yeah.
And you're just pushing yourself way too far. I know you're supposed to loosen the hoop of bullshit, but it's bullshit. Because if you've had a jacket shaking on the embroidery machine, it just drops at the end. You're just like fucking like the raw feeling that you get when a jacket falls when it's at the end of an embroidery, and you've just lost like 2 hours of your life because it's huge, and a 30 quid jacket.
Yeah,
it's not worth it. Mighty Hoops.
Yeah, they're the way forward. You just go click, boom, boom.
I know, you can be really, really shit, just fucking sneak up on it and do it.
Yeah, there we go, it goes on. I mean, my big embroidery machine's broken at the moment, so I've got to get that fixed. But apart from that, yeah, when that's running, yeah.
Well, I know some cat people now, and you can maybe ask if you get Pally with Master Stitch. He's on one of the podcasts. He's like a London geezer, and all he does is cap. Well, it feels like all he does. I'm sure he does loads of other stuff, but he's known for caps and like high build, and the people who run his machines are like very smooth. Yeah, well, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, well, I'll probably have to hit him up.
I think it's mainly just sharp needles, by the way. And
what's that?
Just sharp needles, and trying not to do them on crappy caps. And like you can put like the backing in the right places, and I learned a good chunk recently by accidentally accepting a massive cap order, and then once I got it straight, I had no breakages at all, and it just went really, really beautifully. So it's just settings. The embroidery machine is just taunting people. It's nothing to do with your skill. It's just fucking needle choice. Anyway, so is there any is your shop hack the vinyl weeding thing?
Was it what?
You call it Jimbo weeding. Is that your shop hack, or is there anything else that you'd?
I think I don't have any other shop hacks that I haven't seen or heard before, like on any like cat spits, or Ryan from Ryan it's done and stuff like that. So I haven't got anything else. Just when I expose screens, I spray the water on, and then I leave it for a bit while I'm exposing the other screen, and then when I go to spray it off, I don't need to like spray it with a power wash. It just washes off, and that seems to work. I know you can dip them, and but I don't think I've got like a space to put somewhere at the moment. The shop is literally full of stuff. If I'd turn the camera around, you'd be like, oh my god, how does he do anything in there?
Can we see? Because the people watching, is it okay to do a little spin? Because I want to see.
I'll do it really quickly.
Okay, really quick spin. Screenshot.
Yeah, there we go.
Screenshot.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's really packed in here, but we fit everything, so it's all good. And I just have to move stuff around. I'll get it to the sweet spot where it's just like, yeah, hopefully.
All in a flow. And
Yeah.
I see you're part of the Skull on the Press Club.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was really happy because he actually commented. I was like, yes, he's commented. It's like there was another time when I posted something on Instagram and then Lee Stewart commented. I was like, oh my God, Lee Stewart's looked at my stuff. Yeah, so yeah, I'm a Skull on the Press guy. Yeah. It's a funny story because I was meant to buy a full size one and I didn't look at the scale to it, and it like I was waiting for it for ages and it came in and was like a little box and I was like, this is not right. What is it? Like
the shrunken skull.
Yeah. And then I opened it up and I was like, oh, well, okay. So I've got a small skull. Yeah. But it fits on the press, so it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Mini skull club.
Yeah.
For Jimbo. That's really funny. Well, it looks like you're really sorting yourself out, and it's exciting to like follow you on this like first few years, which is the most difficult part, I suppose. But,
yeah. I think that's the hard part, is like, you know, I mean, we're getting by, which is fine, but it's just kind of like everyone just says, just keep on going. And I've wanted to do it for so long that I'm fully committed to making it work. So yeah,
that's really cool. Thank you so much for coming on.
No worries.
And again, appreciate, like, I think we all do, like, appreciate like you getting shirts, and just like you're kind of like one of the gang.
Well, it feels good, like because or even just to meet Darcy, like, because I messaged him and stuff, and like and Pav, and I was just like, and then I met them. I got a little bit like celebrity. I was like, oh God,
in real life,
yeah. I was because you know you talk to so many screen printers, and everyone goes through the same sort of trials and tribulations, you know, things, and you like there's a sort of bond. I think like people can relate to like what you've done and go, oh yeah, I've been there, sort of thing. And I don't know, it feels like a small community, but a nice community. Do you know what I mean?
Are there any other people who I haven't interviewed yet you'd want me to interview? I'm doing UK at the moment.
Flipping Sweet. I think he's a good. I watched a lot of his stuff.
Okay.
And he was the guy who first made me think, oh, there's a guy out there who's doing cool stuff in the UK that, you know, I could do it. Do you know what I mean? I could do something like that.
Yeah. So you had an affinity with him. Yeah.
Lou was the first one who followed him, and she said, oh, James, you need to follow this guy. You'll probably like him. And I was just like, okay. And then that sent me on the journey of like following like loads of Instagram people, watching what their videos were, and just going, okay. And I would like pause their videos and look in the back of their shop and go, oh, so they've got that. Oh, right. Okay. I'll have a look at that.
Yeah. But that's how we buy off each other. That's like, I'm not going to buy shit unless someone has invested their own money into it.
Yeah.
And they rely on that to create income. I'm not just going to do it if, I don't know. I've done so many bad decisions with kit and equipment that has now gone on the skip, that I now only buy on recommendation, or what you just said, like if they're getting on with it in the back of theirs, then I can relate to that. No, that's cool. So shall I call you Jimbo or James on your
Jimbo? I like Jimbo. My name is James, but I like
Jimbo now.
Yeah,
with your tiger. So
yeah, my mum's the only one who calls me James or Jamie. So I like everyone else to call me Jimbo, like, because she's like, oh, your name's James. I like to call you James. So when someone calls me James, it's like,
what have I done? What did I do wrong?
Oh God.
Like a brown envelope coming in. That's really cool. And also, please send me your picture, selfie.
I think I sent it just before our call. If,
Oh,
if
okay,
it hasn't
cool.
gone through, I'll send another one. So yeah,
Okay,
no
all
worries.
right. Awesome. Okay, all right.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. All
And
right.
I'll see you soon.
See ya.
Cheers.
Bye bye.